Hey guys, Flabaliki here today and welcome back to Cities Skylines. Today we are doing largely a time-lapse based episode because there's a lot of little things around the city that I actually want to fix up and just make look better and just finish off as well. There's like a lot of just empty kind of stuff. So we're starting off here near the entrance of the city. I think I actually also changed that road, that main road already, to a 6-lane road. So that's a little bit different. And I'm just sort of adding in a bit more commercial and office space, adding in the Mall of Moderation just there at the top. The other thing that actually happened at the end of last episode, after I finished recording and I did my outro, I clicked the save button and then the game crashed and I basically lost everything I did in terms of like the monorail. So I actually redid the whole monorail. And I think it's better. I think it's better this time because I obviously had more time to just sort of fine tune it. So it's a little bit smoother in certain places. And we'll be jumping into the live gameplay at about 21 minutes into this. So if you want to skip forward to that, we'll be jumping in there. We'll have a look around everything a little bit closer and a little bit slower as well. I also finally downloaded because I'd had enough. I've had enough. No one has made a bloody tiny 4-lane road that works, like for some reason in the game without using network extension. So I finally downloaded it. I was trying to avoid it for the longest time. For no other reason than the fact that we shouldn't really need a mod like network extensions anymore. I wish these guys would just put these roads in the game with the asset editor, because that would be just so much better than having to use a mod, because then that wouldn't break every game update. But anyway, whatever. I'm using the mod. So basically what I wanted to do, because I was fed up of having this terrible traffic, I did turn on the advanced traffic AI as well. So we do have better lane usage throughout the city, but there's still so many people trying to get down there. I was like, we need a way to make this work and to make it to have it flowing. So I decided to take a little bit of inspiration from like Japan or something like that, having these roads just flowing over the city, even like these kind of suburban areas. We just have, for some reason, we just have a ridiculous amount of traffic for this kind of city. And well, to be fair, it's because everything comes from this, basically most of the stuff comes from this entrance, whether it's like industrial, commercial, it's all over this side. So they sort of have to come this way anyway. But so I put this elevated road in all over the place. I used a lot of no collision as well. So we should still have a bunch of buildings underneath it. And I actually really like it. I mean, at first it's like, I didn't really want to do it. I'm like, it seems a little unnecessary, but I think it actually adds a lot of character to our city. And I think it's a lot of fun. So I also just redid this little entrance to the road as well, just so because I needed to add a connection to this, I guess, overpass or a little highway. I don't know. I would say we'll call it like an intercity highway kind of thing, because it's obviously not within the region. It's just within the downtown. So well, it's not even downtown, within the metropolitan area. Let's go with that. So yeah, I needed to have a nice smooth connection to it, so I added it straight here off of the main highway. So before you even go into the city, any traffic lights, you can go straight up onto this. So I've added that in there, and then it basically cuts out that entire corner down the bottom, which obviously you saw where I connected it up to. I also what else did I do before recording? Because I did a lot in this recording, but I did some stuff beforehand. So namely redoing the whole monorail. I think I added an extra stop to the monorail as well at the other end. So it goes further down into the suburbs instead of stopping where it did. Again, we'll have a look at that a little bit closer later on. But for now, working on the highway, getting all this stuff to sort of flow together. And it actually works out quite well. So I'm using, this is something else I missed as well, that 3-lane road. Again, actually, no, I was going to say no one's made up. There is actually a 3-lane road on the workshop as an asset. But I think that, well, there's one that has the tram track on it, which we use in Sedona. I don't know if there's another one anywhere, but anyway. So we've put this in and it actually gets quite a lot of usage, but it doesn't get overused. So like in terms of it doesn't like clog up with cars flowing through it, but it totally works. And I upped the speed limit on that road to 90 kilometers an hour, not 100. I felt like 100, maybe a little too high. I mean, realistically, probably should have been like 80 max. It's actually a pretty small road, so having a really high speed limit is kind of dangerous, unless the lanes are slightly wider, but whatever. It's City Skylines, it's fine. So that arrow was pointing backwards for some reason. Wasn't sure why. Oh, this is one of the big changes we made. So I didn't completely redesign this actually. The base of this roundabout stays the same, but we've completely redesigned this, made it a much more pedestrian friendly area. So I added, rather than having to cross over the roundabout and potentially get hit by a car or a tram, because it's a bit of realistically, it's a bit of a nightmare of a roundabout currently anyway. There's pedestrians crossing all over the place. There's trams that go directly through the roundabout. There's cars going around it. It's a bit of a mess. So I decided to, I think this is a suggestion from the comments at some point to do pedestrian paths going over so that they don't have to sort of cross the road and all that. So that's exactly what I've done. I've added pedestrian, I guess, bridges going across the entire roundabout, so you can walk directly across. You can get directly to the trams without having to cross the road. Pedestrians do not interfere with traffic. I also did actually do specific intersection rules saying that even though there are crosswalks down the bottom, they can't actually use them. So they don't use those at all. So we have a completely raised area for pedestrians to wander around. They can get over. They can walk straight over the roundabout. They can go in any of the 4 directions. You'll see it all come together. And then we actually build it into a really nice, almost little garden. Like it turns into a really nice green space, really nice. Like I guess it is a park. I actually do it as a park area, even though there's nothing in it. So I don't really know. I don't know the benefit of like assigning something as a park if you don't actually do any like park gates or anything. I don't know if it does anything, but I did it as like a little park. I guess the benefit is we can name it. So there you go. Yeah, so I added these pathways to all 4 sides so we can get around. I also leveled out the roundabout so the roundabout's completely flat instead of on a hill, because that was kind of weird. It also made doing all the pathways really hard if it wasn't level. So we just did it like this. And in the end, it actually works really well. Like I really like the way it looks. We have the monorail that runs straight through the middle, then the pedestrian parts that sort of go underneath it and join down to the tram underneath. It's a really interesting design. And like right now, it looks kind of weird. But once we get into all the landscaping and trees and we do a bunch of like, there's actually a really cool, so you guys may remember, you'll see them when we start placing them, but there was always these grass sort of curbs on the workshop from, I think, King Lino, I think it was the original ones. But then someone's gone ahead and turned them into an actual like network. So like kind of like a road where you can sort of drag them out and place them in any shape. So now you can finally fit them exactly where you want to go instead of like really annoyingly trying to place them. So originally I just did this. I did a lot of trees and I was like, yeah, the trees look nice. But I think the central section of the roundabout should have had a little bit more design. And I actually go back to that in a little bit. So I leave it there and I'm like, you know what, I'll have another look at this. So I actually added another exit to this this road because currently this little intercity highway only exits to the main highway, rather than this actually just gets you across the city, joins you back up to this avenue, so you can use it to cut across the city rather than going on all the ground streets. And then actually I didn't record this bit, but I added another branch into it, so there's actually like one intersection on the raised highway, like with traffic lights. I didn't know how I wanted to do it. I didn't think I wanted to go full interchange because it's not a full highway. It's essentially an express road. So I didn't mind having like the traffic lights on it to have this industrial branch that goes out this way. And then obviously you can come from the industrial, join back onto it, essentially just bypassing a bunch of intersections on the ground, which I think it's okay. I obviously, no, don't get me wrong. I don't want to do this everywhere in the city, because if we did this absolutely everywhere, it would just look like spaghetti and it would just be ridiculous, because it's like, well, what's the point of having ground roads if we're just going to elevate them all? But I think if we use this kind of network sparingly, almost like if we think of it like a monorail or like a public transit system, rather like, so you think of like it's like a highway network, but it's not really highway. I don't know. There's probably an actual term for this. I don't really know, but we're using it to sort of get from really popular locations. We're essentially joining up really popular locations, one of them being the highway connection to the city, one of them basically being the theme park area down along the beach, and the other one being that sort of really heavily used industrial area up the top. Hey, we got Grand City, so we got 17,000 people here now. So I'm just doing a lot of zoning here because there's a lot of empty spaces that I wanted to start filling in and start building up a little bit. And I also, I don't know I think I do it a little bit later on, but I actually add a whole, like, because this whole area, the whole city looked a little bit blank. It's just like, it was very, there's a lot of grass, nothing wrong with grass, but I think we didn't need more vegetation. And so once we start designing this roundabout, which I think I'm about to do, is when I was connecting it all up with these pathways, I was like, this needs something more. It needs to be more of a centerpiece. And I start doing that. Anyway, so I sort of go through the city a little bit later on. We do a lot of decorations and make it look much, much nicer. So I was like, I really wanted to turn this into a little park. And I think this is where I started getting the idea. I was like, let me put the gazebo there. It's near the road. Get some trees. And also, actually, the good thing about, like, because later on, like I said, I put a bunch of trees throughout the city. We're still not doing the roundabout. We're going to get there eventually. Maybe I didn't record. No, I must have recorded it. I don't know what order I did it in. Anyway, yeah, once especially this area is actually really loud. So once we put all the trees in, like, the noise pollution goes way down, because now trees actually have an impact, which they never used to. But since park life, putting trees everywhere, just regularly placing trees, actually reduces sound, which is good because that's what they do in real life. So we did, especially through this area, we did a lot of trees. I think I pull up the sound map at some. Yeah, there. You can see it very briefly, but that bottom left corner near all that right now, near all that commercial, is super loud. Like it's really, really loud. Like you wouldn't want to live near it, kind of loud. But once all the trees go in, it's so much better. And I'm just getting a bunch of services through this area too, because it was quite lacking. Oh, and I'm going crazy with all those like tiny little laneway roads now that I finally have those back from network extensions. I don't know why no one's really made them properly on the workshop yet. I mean, look, I guess I know why. They're not doing it because it's like, well, they already exist, so it's like, why would you waste your time on that? And two, I think the mod creators probably just want you to use a mod rather than putting them on. I don't know. I don't know. I would just rather them as assets. Anyway, so these are the curbs I was talking about. Now I can curve them perfectly around. So I basically do a nice outline of this roundabout all the way around. And then here in the middle as well, I sort of trace the tram tracks. It's sort of basically giving everything a little bit of a border to make it look a little bit nicer. And then I just go ahead and put some flowers and little shrubs in there. And I think it just like really takes it to the next level rather than just being a bunch of trees all over the place. So it's much more sort of, I guess, planned and designed is kind of the idea behind it, which obviously it is. Like, I mean, it's very, look at that. It looks so much better than what it did before. Like, think back to what we had, like the ground roundabout. It was just on the ground. It was on a hill. And then it was like, yeah, it's all uneven. There's just random trees. There wasn't even that many trees anyway. But now look how much it's being used. It's just in this, watching now as we build, there's so many people transferring from trams to monorails. And even I think there's a bus nearby, maybe. I don't know. I really wanted to do a bunch of buildings around the roundabout. It didn't really work. I think I just did regular zoning. So I just did some like apartment blocks. And actually maybe not apartment. It must have been like offices or something. Now, I went back up this way. So we're back up near the industrial. I wanted to rebuild all of these interchanges. And we said this ages ago when I originally did them, and I just did it really, really quickly, and it looked terrible. So what I'm doing here is I actually separated, because we used to have two interchanges here. I actually demolished both of them, and I'm going to basically split them. So one road is an entrance and exit for one direction, and the other road is the other. So it essentially splits the entire interchange into two major roads instead of all being on one. So we can sort of spread out the traffic. You'll see what I mean as we get into it, but right now it probably doesn't make a lot of sense me trying to explain it. You'll see it. And also in the live gameplay, we'll go through very briefly over everything that we did. So I'm just putting in a bunch of roads here for later on. Right now, I'm not actually going to zone any of these because we have literally zero demand for industrial. I don't know if you can notice, but when you look in the background of some of this, pretty much we're lacking jobs everywhere. We need so much residential in the city because there's not enough people to work in all the jobs everywhere. So it's kind of like, we're lacking a lot. We need more people working here. Had to fix up this whole highway though, because it was like way too high up for where I wanted the interchange. And it's deceptively hilly in this area. And actually, when we look across the city, I think the thumbnail of last episode looked really cool because it was like, when I took the photo looking at the monorail, the whole city sort of goes up a hill, and in the background you can see the industrial really far away. It looks really cool. We'll have a look in game in a second. I think the city is really starting to take shape. Like it's starting to look like a city rather than just a random little town that's kind of just haphazardly placed. But yeah, right here you can see what I meant about splitting up the interchange. So right there we had the exit for one side, the entrance for the other, and then like you can see now, the entrance and exit for the other side is down the other end. So it sort of just separates all the industrial traffic into two major roads instead of one. Now, moving on, I started to build a sewage treatment area because I realized that we're currently still dumping all our sewage directly into the bay right in front of the city, which is disgusting. So I was like, let's go really far away on this map. Thankfully, this map, unlike Sedona, has a lot more water. So over here is just another ocean area that's literally on the other side of the map. And I'll give you more context of it later on in the real time if we don't really see it here. But this is right at the edge of the map, right on the other side. So I thought right here is where we're going to just start building a sewage treatment plant with a bunch of what do you call them? Canals and all of that. Now I did right here, you can see I actually sunk the whole thing down so it was at sea level. That was a big mistake. I shouldn't have done that because when I did that, it actually, when we started pumping sewage, it just flooded the entire lowered section. But I didn't record that. And actually what happened, it was funny because I flooded the entire lowered section. And then that caused the power not to work it caused the sewage plants not to work because they were flooded. And then because the sewage didn't work, all the buildings in the city started not having enough sewage capacity. That caused the power plants not to work because their sewage wasn't being treated. Then the power plants caused everything to shut down. And it was basically a citywide disaster. And I had caused that. Good thing is though, because I have that no abandonment mod, none of the buildings disappeared. I swear, because it took me a while to notice the mistake that I'd made. I was like, why is this? What? I was like, what's going on? And then, yeah, if I didn't have that, I guarantee you half the city would have emptied out and it would have sucked real bad. But thankfully, that didn't happen. Yeah, so you just filling in more of this area, you can see how red that section was there in terms of noise. Later on, it's much better because right now we don't have any trees. Like right now, you can see what I'm talking about. Like there's a lot of like just empty grass everywhere. Which, like I said, is not bad. Like, it's good to have some fields here and then. I think I might even, because I basically went through and put trees everywhere, and you'll see. But I think we might even go back and start cutting out some specific fields and, like, doing some designated just, like, like soccer fields or just a big green space rather than just trees. But anyway, like, because, I mean, we don't really have any of those anyway at the moment. But yeah, just literally everywhere there's, like, a little gap. I'm putting trees in. I want it to look really, really green, really suburban. Like this is what, this is kind of what Sydney looks like in a lot of parts of it, especially up north in Sydney. It's really, really leafy, really green. It almost looks like, and there's certainly some points where in Sydney you sort of look across a landscape and you just see trees, even though it's like all like suburban and all that, depending on your sort of view. So it's like, that's kind of the look I wanted to go for in this area. Especially because it's park life. It's all about parks and greenery and nature. So I think it worked really well. Like I'm just going through this whole area. I think it looks really, really good. I don't know. It just adds the extra oomph that it needed. It just looked empty before. And I think this sort of completes the look I was going for. And I'm really, really happy with it. And I hope you are too, because it works. Oh, and by the way, and like I said, we're going to be checking a lot of this stuff out in the gameplay, the live gameplay at the end here. But the monorail is actually working really, really well. I'm so happy about that. It's getting like hundreds, like some of the trains are actually filling up. I think we got 3 monorails now. We started off with 2. We got 3 now because each of them carry 360 people, but that was not enough because it was filling up and they were not regular enough. So we did a few more. Oh, that's the last thing I did here. The very last thing at this time lapse is we are actually working on the beach because it's been here, and especially the edge where the sand meets the road. I was like, I really want to fix this up because it looks so stupid. We got this weird, like, awkward cut, and it doesn't make any sense. So I decided along the beachfront, we're just going to do this pathway, so you can sort of enter this park and ride a bike or walk along the sort of beachfront area here. And then that will act as our little buffer so that we can sort of cut away, do the normal terrain right there next to the road so we don't have weird issues with the pathway on the road. And then we have the beach on the other side, so that allows us to use surface painter and essentially hide the gap that we have there. You can see where it's got all those jagged edges. We can hide that up. And I'm hiding that up with plants, and I do a bunch of palm trees along the beach because I was like, we need to do that. Always looks great when you have a bunch of palm trees. I also spent a lot of time because we finished the theme park, but it's just really blank. Like there's a lot of empty space of nothing. So I went through here, did a similar thing with the pathway, and then did a lot of landscaping in here with a lot of trees, a lot of shrubs, a bunch of rocks everywhere. And it just makes it come to life. I think it just brings it to the next level rather than it just being blank. Because I mean, look, we a lot of the stuff we did on the theme park was purely for function to get it up to the next level. We just sort of place stuff down, which is fine, but it needs to look good too because it just looks like buildings placed on a beach with nothing around it. And that's exactly what it is. So it's like, let's add a few more things here just to give it a little bit more oomph. And likewise with 7 Mile Beach, either side of the theme park, I also just did I think I did some toilets somewhere on it and a bunch of other stuff here and there. And we also, and I think that should be in the recording, I go through it and I finally fixed the fence along the along the theme park here that's been disappeared for a while. So I go back and put that in. I also, actually, are there any other fences that are missing around this place, around the city? Probably a bunch of the parks where I adjusted the roads and all that. I really hate those camper vans, how they go in those parking lots. It looks so stupid. It's so annoying. But anyway, whatever. Yeah, so here we go. Oh, look at this. We're fixing the fence. Beautiful. Even though you don't really need it, but I think visually it's nice to have a fence there. So it's like you can't just walk in. Yeah, so lots of foliage in this. Like this time lapse is all about sort of tidying up little things that we just left and we hadn't really touched in a while. Spending a lot of time just doing this kind of stuff. I mean, it took me a few hours just to do all of this. Like I just spent a lot of today just placing things and there's even more stuff that I didn't record, sorry, that I have not shown here because I just spent a lot of time doing it. And it was just like not really that fun to watch, but there's always little things that you got to do to make it look a little bit nicer. I don't think I show it in this time lapse, but I also add a bus line that goes to the university. Actually, I guess we'll see at the end here if it's there, because the university, which is here in this grass space on this section, that section there to the right of the cemetery. Which I think is a really nice space, actually. I originally put the university there as a temporary thing, but I actually think it really works. I think we can work with it totally. That right there was like a little toilet that I sort of put in there. Did a cafe over here on the beach because I wanted to level up the beach a little bit because the beach by itself with nothing in it, unfortunately in the game, does not get a rating higher than 1. So I put a few piers in it. I did that little cafe, and I think we got a rating 2 on it. So it's a little bit of something, just to bring it up a little bit. And then yeah, so here along the theme park, I decided to do a lot more of these rocks because it's a little bit empty, and it seemed like it needed, like it's just a lot of sand, and it's fine. Oh, I also downloaded, which I haven't used yet actually, I downloaded a bunch of beach props because I was like, we need to put stuff on the beach, like just to make it look like a beach. I got a lot of, well, I don't even know, just like beach stuff. I guess there's probably umbrellas and towels, and I got some beach showers I think as well. I haven't put it in the time lapse, so I downloaded it, but I haven't used it yet. Anyway, so all those, just getting some rocks and some like greenery in between them. Just needed that next level oomph, and we've pretty much done it. I think this is pretty much the end of the time lapse here. Just added another little plaza because that space seemed really large and there was nothing in it, so I was like, let me just add another plaza or something. I was like, maybe I could add another ride, but I mean, you'd clearly tell that there's 2 of the same ride, so I was like, I don't really want to do that because I don't like the look of it. So I would just do like a plaza I think that's just a plaza from the generic park. Again, I didn't want to do the same one that we already have in there, so I did just another one of those. And then I think I was trying to find something on the beach and there was nothing to put there. But that's the time lapse. Let's go ahead and jump into the game now. Okay, so this is what it looks like in real time, a little bit slower, so we can have a look at it all a little bit closer as well. So I'm really happy with the starting of the beach. Like, don't worry, the beach has just been started. Like I said, I downloaded a bunch of assets that we can place along it. Oh, I didn't mention, I actually put this fire crew here, which I thought was an okay place for it. I don't mind. It's kind of like at the end of the beach. It sort of moves into more of like obviously the public transport and utilities kind of stuff here. And I really wanted to do the fire helicopters right by the water because, as you guys mentioned and you guys saw as well, a lot of the time we were getting fires here in the park. And it kept happening as well. Like I just kept having to replace buildings because they kept burning down because traditional fire engines can't actually get there because they're on pathways. The trucks going to go here, they can't get in. So we need the fire crew, which means they would have to take off, fill up with water, then go there. So the closer they are to the water and the theme park, the quicker they can put out the fires and we can not worry about it. So that's why that's there. And like I said, I did extend the monorail a little bit further down the road. It now goes here. I thought this was pretty cool. It sort of sneaks off here rather than going up and around because I thought that would look really, really ugly. Because a lot of the time when the monorail follows a road, it looks terrible. Like even through here, this little section, I'm not the happiest with, but it's there. Anyway, so it goes this way. And so I try to keep it as level as possible. Oh, there goes a monorail through it. Keep it as level as possible. Oh, there's a rock right there. I might actually move that real quick. Hang on. Which? Is it this? It is that one. There. It's a bit better. Yeah, so it sort of goes here. Tries to keep it a little bit level, comes all the way across, and then as smoothly as I possibly could, rejoins on top of the road just here, which I thought, like I said, I thought was pretty cool. I liked it. Let me know what you think about that. Yeah, the only issue was that corner's a little sharp. I mean, it's still smooth enough for it to work, but it's a little sharper than I would have liked. Anyway, so yeah, the monorail now goes down to here. So we have the additional stop, which does actually get used quite a bit, I believe. Well, at the moment, the monorail, actually, how many people just got on? 29. Like, it's not too bad. Obviously, there's not that much down here at the moment. It's just going to be these people using it, which is fine. And it comes back down this way. And I'm really starting to like the look of this city. I got to be honest, because we've got all these sort of like low density houses. Which, by the way, look at the trees. Doesn't that look good? You know what? Let me jump into this view. Is going to be better, so I don't see all those icons in the UI. It looks really, really nice. I really like it. And then we got these isolated sort of high-rise sections around the city. I think this makes a lot of sense right by the theme park as well. And we got like a little section here, which I really like. And there's obviously more down that way too. So there's the theme park. Right there. I really like just this view here looking down the beach and even the other way. So what I was talking about as well in the time lapse, so the thumbnail of the last video was like here, and I really like that you can see sort of up there and like how the city sort of goes up the hill just over there. Anyway, so I'll actually show you the monorail as well. I believe last time we did it, the monorail actually came down this road and then it sort of came up here, if I'm not mistaken, and sort of turned here. I actually moved it because I thought it made more sense to do this just because we already have the trams running right here, having another station there, it seemed a little bit too close and a little bit unnecessary. So I moved it a bit further away, so that meant it sort of covered more of this area rather than just the same area. So that works just fine. And it sort of comes off here smoothly off the road because, again, I didn't want it... Well, first of all, it couldn't even go on the road because the ones that go above the road have to be this sort of avenue. So it was too big. I couldn't do that. So I had a nice smooth, like, sort of curve just here off the road. Oh, no, there's a... Yeah, look, there's a few things around the city that are... I'll get rid of that later. There's columns there, but whatever. It comes off here. Oh, yeah, look, it's a little rough around the edges. Sorry. There was a lot that I did. And then it sort of comes up here, curves nicely and gently over this road, over the little clinic there. Comes up this way, similar to what I did before. Actually, the exact same issue. So I had to rebuild all of this, and that... Oh, I should probably have more lanes here. That's really bad. I had to rebuild all of this, including doing the mall and the Bed Bath & Beyond just next door to it. We have 2 of them. Don't worry about it. The reason I was gonna change it when you guys mentioned it, but the reason I didn't is because I had already rebuilt it when I went to go check the comments. And it just fits so perfectly. Like, you can't deny it. Look how perfect that is. It goes right over the top of the building. It goes like perfectly through this little section here at the mall. I'm like, this is too good to change. And then it sort of goes here underneath that sort of express road above it, which that road then goes there. And then Monorail basically follows... Oh, God. Yeah, I added a lot of trees. The trees are the last thing I did, and I didn't actually check the Monorail line. I'm sorry. Anyway, it comes through here. Don't worry about the trees. I'll go through and fix them after this. I'm not going to do it now. Goes through here. Same sort of location. I don't know. Did we used to have... I think it used to be here last time. And I've moved it over this side just because I wanted it... It just seemed to make more sense because it's sort of... So instead of being squished right against that main road, it's sort of more centrally in this area here. This new section that we built. Then it continues off down this way. Joins back up on the main road here. And this I think is my favorite part of this episode. Let me know what your favorite new addition or change is, but I think this roundabout now looks like really, really cool. I think it's really incredible. We've got the trams running underneath. We've got the pedestrian pathways here going over it. We've got the cars running around. Like, I think it's super cool. I think it looks really, really spectacular. Like, I'm way happier with it than I thought I was ever going to be. Like, I don't know, it just looks sweet. And it works so well as well. And I actually put a little Ibis Hotel in here, so that's what I put over there. Oh, hello. It's a little uneven with that car there, but anyway, that's there. And I think there's just like a couple of buildings around it too. I didn't go crazy with buildings around it, but it's right there. And there's a monorail going straight over it, so you can see that. Like, that's a pretty cool like little scene there. I think this roundabout. I'm way too happy with that. Anyway, so that continues off, and then I think the rest of the monorail is exactly the same. It just stops there, and then yeah. So I mentioned I created a new bus line, and it's the sort of turquoise. I'm going to change the color. It's terrible, but it goes. The bus line actually starts here. Comes around down here, there, stops here in front of that, then it sort of comes up, joins up with this tram line. So essentially I'm trying to create a link between, well, first of all, to get to the university, it joins up the monorail with the trams, and then the buses actually run through this suburban district. You can sort of follow a few of them through here. Comes up here, comes across, and then sort of ends up here at this monorail station, and then sort of just goes back again. So it sort of just as it basically links up the university and this suburb here, because there was nothing in the middle. There's stuff at the top and bottom, but nothing through the middle, so that's why I did that there. Oh, yeah, so then the elevated road, which I think works really, really well. I'm really happy with that as well. Starts off here. I think, obviously, we need to do a little bit of decoration around it. It's not great, but it starts here. And then this is like the little intersection I was talking about up here, sort of behind all these buildings, sort of tucked away. Then it heads out this way, which I think it looks sweet going through this area, over the top of all of that. Comes out and around, and then it joins up here with this industrial section. I'm not super happy with these two roads, but it works so well though, because it's on a cliff. This road is lower down, that like perfectly fits up there. But I don't know if I'm entirely happy with the look. I might make it a little bit smaller, a little bit neater, because like I said, I don't want it to start looking like just spaghetti everywhere, because at the moment I think it looks pretty good. It pretty much blends in from above, like you don't really see it, and I think it looks pretty cool like this, especially I think when it sort of passes over the monorail. You have this road up here. You got the large road down the bottom. I think it's really, really cool. And it, obviously, as you can see, gets a lot of use, whilst not completely making the roads down the bottom useless. So there's still a bunch of cars using... Well, I say a bunch of cars. There's no cars there. But a bunch of cars still line up down over here. It's still really busy. And then overall, like I was saying, the trees, I think, just add a lot to this city, which I'm super happy about. It looks really, really good. I was going to do stuff in this, but I spent most of my time explaining everything. But what I'm thinking is, so over here, obviously we've got all these like curvy suburbs. I think, oh my God. Oh no, I thought it was like a bunch of fires. There was only one. I'm thinking like this whole sort of quadrant, I guess up to this main road, is going to be these suburbs, like curvy roads, low density housing. I think this is what this section is. Obviously over here, we've got the more sort of grid based, and I think we'll continue that. Probably be a bit more commercial through here as we get up to the industrial. And then this is obviously the sort of medium density area moving out this way. And that's going to go there. It's going to be really, really cool. It's going to be cool. I've also got to do something with this space. And I'm thinking, like I mentioned, I was like, we don't really have, doing all this, we sort of removed all the grass space. I'm like, maybe we turn this. Should we turn this into like a field? Maybe I can find some good like soccer fields or rugby fields or something like that. Or we just like leave it as actual grass space and maybe just do like, maybe have a pathway going around it and then just have like a few trees and then that's it. But keep it mostly grass. I don't know. Let me know. But tell me, what do you think of this episode? Well, no, not the episode. I don't care. If you hate the episode, that's fine. But what do you think of the stuff we did in the episode is probably a better question. That's what I'm more concerned about. Although actually, well, if you hated the episode, I probably should know too. I know this is a long time-lapse episode, so I understand it's a bit different. But I think it was worth it. I think there was a lot of stuff we needed to do. Also, there were quite a few people saying about this road and removing it. But I actually really like what it's done. Like it's sort of like it's part of the character of the city now that we have these two major roads here. That's an issue of the past. Like it was something that they did. And by that, I'm speaking about if this were a real city, something that they did to try and solve an issue that didn't really solve it, and then it's sort of been left over as like part of the city. And actually, I quite like it. Like it's something weird. It adds a really nice. I think my favorite bit is this bit here, like for sure, with the monorail there, the tram there. It's sort of like little triangular separation of the road, and then it. I don't know. I really like it. I'm totally getting into the city now. I'm loving it. Da 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 da. Da, 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 da. All right, so yeah, that's it. That's all. I've got nothing else to say. Like this is the city. Oh, actually, well, yeah. I was going to show you where the sewage treatment was. It's all the way over here. So the city's over that way. As you can see, I did this as far away as possible. Essentially, there's not really anywhere else I could have done it. Oh, maybe no. This is probably closer, isn't it? Yeah, this is like as far away as I could go in terms of water, and also because it's not a river, so it's not actually flowing anywhere. Oh, hang on. If we get this, you can see it's spilling out that way a little bit, but it's not going to flow like all the way over here and pollute it. Like if I did it somewhere in this river, it would just flow down, cover the whole place in poo. You can see the old poo is starting to wash away now too, which is good. So this is starting to clean up. Something that I will do more of, I think, because at the moment we're still using this sort of dirty treatment plants. Also I'm doing a lot of geothermal here because I ran out of power and we're having power issues, so I did some geothermal. Yeah, look how high up I moved these. I don't think it needs to be that high. I think I might lower it. As you can see, it doesn't need to be that tall, but that's where it is now. I think I might just do quickly before we leave. Try and keep it a little bit cleaner. It doesn't look great when you do this, but I kind of want... Why is it... Oh, it's because it's like placing the circles on the bottom, but it places on the top of the water, so it's like not placing where I thought it would. Look, it looks really... Wait, how much do these things cost? Because I just placed a lot of them. Hang on, hold up. 1,000 a week. Okay, that's gonna kill my money. But I just wanted to keep the water clean. Oh, actually, you know what? It might be okay. But that should... No, actually, some of it's gonna seep around this way. You can see where it is. Like, you can see it's sort of... I just don't want it to flow this way. Can it just flow? I put it here so it could flow out, but that's clearly not happening. Anyway, whatever, that's fine. Alright, so next episode we'll be back to just doing regular live gameplay because we just need to do some old-fashioned building. And I think we're going to go... I want to do something with that field. Probably build here maybe, or maybe up over this way actually. I want to sort of do some more suburb stuff through here. I think it'd be really good just to really smash this out and get a bunch of stuff in there. Continue this large road as well. Actually, speaking of that large road... I think we need just a couple more lanes through here. So I might actually change that into this road with median. So we get a couple more lanes here at the end. Actually, I'll take it all the way up to this previous intersection right there. Because then that'll just give us a few more. At least people turning right can go right, people turning left can... Yeah, there we go, that's better. And yeah, like I said, we have smart traffic AI on now, so it should be a little bit better for the most part. This should be a little bit smarter. Alright, thanks for watching, guys. Make sure to leave your comments, suggestions, and feedback down below. Please let me know what you thought of the roundabout. I'm really happy with the roundabout. What you thought of the new theme park area. It's like sort of done up a little bit more. The beachfront as well. The monorail we fixed up. And the little express road we built in. I think it just adds a bunch of character. Like I think it just adds a lot. Like it goes over the buildings. It's really not, I don't know. I think it fits the city really, really well. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next time and have an awesome day.